It's fascinating to explore the influence of the 90s culture on the world of fashion, especially when it comes to elegance. The fashion of that era certainly left a unique mark with its blend of quiet luxury, old money-style culture, and classic fashion. The 90s witnessed a surge in classic and timeless style that still resonates today. When delving into the history of fashion, it's crucial to highlight how past eras have made their mark through icons that influenced and nurtured the culture of elegant style. At the peak of this decade, fashion icons emerged, becoming synonymous with elegance and sophistication. From the runways to the streets, the influence of these icons spread, defining the aesthetic of an era characterized by its eclecticism and boldness. But what made 90s fashion so special? Well, it was during this decade that a unique fusion of classic and contemporary elements took shape, giving rise to a style that transcended fleeting trends. Inspired by opulence and the heritage of the past, brands and designers created pieces that captured the essence of quiet luxury. This focus on quality and timelessness contrasted with the splendor of previous decades, marking a transition towards enduring elegance that remains iconic. Thus, the 90s stand as an emblematic era where classic elegance merged with modernity, shaping a style that continues to be relevant and timeless today, and likely will remain so. Undoubtedly, one of the fundamental reasons that make the 90s so memorable is its extraordinary representation of old money style. This period not only marked a shift in fashion trends, but also became the epicenter of an aesthetic that captured the essence of opulence and heritage. In the 90s, old money style manifested itself exquisitely in every corner of fashion. From the runways to everyday life, influences from aristocracy and the elite were masterfully introduced into the style of contemporary culture. This approach translated into garments and accessories that embodied sophistication and refinement, forsaking ostentation for discreet elegance. References to old money style during this decade were abundant and varied. Designers delved into the rich history of fashion, drawing inspiration from classical aesthetics and the attention to detail that characterized the elite of bygone eras. Impeccable cuts, luxurious materials, and refined details became key elements defining the style of the time. The old money fashion of the 90s wasn't limited to high couture. It also permeated popular culture, influencing how people chose to dress in their everyday lives. Fashion icons, celebrities, and designers all played a role in spreading this style, cementing its presence in the collective consciousness. In the 90s, embodying elegance and timelessness was almost a cultural norm. Looking back, the 90s stand out as a period where fashion not only experienced a stylistic evolution, but also became a means to revive and reinterpret the past. References to old money style during this decade were abundant and varied. Designers delved into the rich history of fashion, drawing inspiration from classical aesthetics and the attention to detail that characterized the elite of bygone eras. Impeccable cuts, luxurious materials, and refined details became key elements that defined the style of the time. Minimalism is a stylistic movement that embraced simplicity, functionality, and discreet elegance, playing a crucial role in the iconic aesthetic of the 90s. This approach, now seen as a precursor to quiet luxury, became a conscious response to the opulence of previous decades and left an indelible mark on contemporary fashion. Minimalism, in terms of design and fashion, seeks to simplify and distill forms and elements to their most basic essence. Instead of extravagance and excessive ornamentation, it focuses on clean lines and neutral colors. This approach aligns with the idea that true elegance lies in purity and simplicity. During the 90s, minimalism flourished in the fashion scene, influencing designers and defining the era's aesthetic. Brands like Calvin Klein and Jill Sander became flag bearers of this movement, creating garments that stood out for their simplicity and sophistication. Style icons of that decade also played a role in popularizing minimalism. Figures like Kate Moss and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy became ambassadors for this approach, adopting looks that reflected a casual elegance. The idea was to convey a luxury that didn't need to be flashy, but was expressed through quality and refined simplicity. Although minimalism as a stylistic movement has roots dating back to earlier decades, the 90s marked a significant revival and widespread adoption in contemporary fashion. The fashion runways of the 90s became stages for a stylistic renaissance, where the masterful fusion of classic fashion and minimalism defined an unforgettable era. Iconic brands like Dior, Chanel, Saint Laurent, and especially Ralph Lauren made an indelible mark by presenting collections that encapsulated the essence of quiet luxury and timeless elegance. What made the 90s runways so memorable was how these fashion houses managed to blend elements of old money style with the understated grace of minimalism. Show after show, the collections featured garments that transcended fleeting trends, opting for timeless cuts and colors that would withstand the test of time. The 90s collections showcased pieces that could easily be found in accessible stores, even if they weren't extravagantly priced luxury items. Shirts with impeccable cuts, elegant coats, and simple yet refined dresses became staples that transcended price tags. This democratizing approach allowed the aesthetic of classic and minimalist fashion to reach a broader audience, thereby defining the style that marked the iconic fashion of that decade. In the culmination of our journey through the fascinating 90s, we cannot overlook that this decade remains the ultimate reference when it comes to elegance. Despite successive seasons and the ever-changing tides of fashion, the timeless garments from this era remind us that true elegance is the preferred style of women who appreciate timelessness and sophistication.